Hello all, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to the newest episode of the Noobs and Knockouts Podcast, recorded live at the Twitch and brought to you on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube. I'm Austin. I'm a knockout. Watched a lot of wrestling.
I'm David. I'm a noob. Haven't watched nearly as much wrestling. And I think we can both agree that after last week and after all the analysis we've done of Hulk Hogan as a character, it really has been time for a change of scenery.
I guess I'll go ahead and start in saying that this episode is a very different change of scenery because it is filmed at Disney MGM Studios.
Oh, shit. I wasn't even meaning that. I just meant I moved into a new place and you're in a hotel. But nice.
I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
I literally said change of scenery earlier.
Yeah, but I didn't connect.
Okay, hey, non video people, imagine that we're in like different spaces, different voids than you usually imagine us in. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go.
I'm in a hotel room in Harrison, Ohio. That's near Cincinnati, Ohio, for those of you who don't know since Ohio geography. And so imagine a hotel room at a Holiday Inn. That's where I'm at.
I'm in a fourplex in Ypsilanti, Michigan, in my room. So just imagine, like baby's first rent, and that's what you got.
It's specific. His room specifically looks like what you imagine the gateway to heaven looks like, and it's all white, or a hospital.
True. Oh God. Oh shit. I gotta wear a gown. I did wear my my podcast shirt today that your mom made.
Oh, nice.
I was like,
I don't bring casual wear for when I travel for work, but never mind.
Oh, disgusting. I understand why.
I never go anywhere. So
I
anyway,
understand why, but
I'm sure our audience really would love to hear more about me traveling to do government audit.
It's the new spinoff.
Oh God. Let's move on.
Yes.
Today we are returning to WCW. With the NWO. Last time we did Bash at the Beach. It happened. I don't know what happened on that show. Rey Mysterio beat Psychosis.
Booyaka, booyaka, 619.
Yeah, he did that. Let's see. Diamond Dallas Page beat Jim Duggan. That happened.
There was the fucking the silver dollar match.
Yes,
wasn't
the
that?
silver dollar pole match. Yes, and I guess Hulk Hogan turned heel for the first time in like 15 years. Or something.
I think you're forgetting the most important thing of Randy Savage's brother. Or wait, was that the 80s? Fuck, I can't keep track.
That was the 80s one.
That was 80s. Oh, it's all bleeding together. Yeah, no. Big little moment where Hulk Hogan reveals himself as the third man, whatever, so.
Yes, so the new world order has been formed, the new world organization, whatever you really want to call them.
Oh God. Whatever Hulk Hogan wants to call it in the moment.
Yeah. So I
feel like with Hulk Hogan's track record for the truth, he'd be going on something like, oh, it was originally supposed to be called the New World Organization, brother, and they changed it on me at the last minute, and I tried so hard, but it just came out of my mouth a few times because that was what it was originally, and then they changed it on me. It's their fault. It's their fault I misspoke.
Yeah, that's it, brother.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised Hogan doesn't act like he was always like he never doubted joining the NWO.
Wait, like he doesn't? I feel like
he doesn't lie about. I don't believe he's ever lied about that.
That's so weird, dude. What is it with Hulk Hogan and like the shit he lies about? It's so bizarre.
He's a giant narcissist.
Yeah, but like I feel like
I
was always on board with it, brother. It would be such a great I don't know. Maybe it's more compelling for him to be like, well, I was struggling with it. I've just been the good guy for so. Oh, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, it allows him to be really self-aggrandizing of like I was taking a risk with my career, brother.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right, carry on with your bullshit, Terry. If that even is your real name.
For UFC fighter Hulk Hogan, totally could have been bassist of Metallica, but he turned him down. All that shit.
With a 6-inch dick only out of kayfabe.
Yep. He's a solid 10-incher.
It's a solid 10-incher in kayfabe. Oh, I It's so good, dude. Okay, anyway.
Yes, back to this. Hogan is heel now. The WCW has created the faction that will take them to such great heights and then bring them down to such great lows.
And then run themselves so far into the ground that they may as well be fucking subterranean.
Mm-hmm. But we're not at that part yet. We're still on the glorious come up because this is a moment etched in history.
We're in the pre Money in the Bank 2011 of the NWO.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, really.
All of my barometer for like momentous things that like are super awesome and then like go way too far and end up sucking is just gonna be like Summer of Punk shit.
Yeah, fair. So Hulk Hogan, so that has happened, and as per usual, looking at it, we're jumping ahead to July 29th episode of WCW Monday Nitro for today, and so for the last 3 weeks of Nitro, the NWO stuff is still the most important thing on the show, and it still takes about like 5 minutes per episode at the very end.
Why?
Because they got to spend the first hour and 50 minutes being like, don't go anywhere. NWO coming up.
Are they? Oh God, no! Come on.
They do that every time.
Jesus, it's all there's already writing on the wall for how they mishandle this. Fuck.
A little bit, because for 3 weeks it's been more tease than it has been content with them. Teasing that a thing is going to happen. Specifically, teasing that who is the fourth man. Basically, they're already planting the seeds that there's going to be more to this NWO thing than just the trio.
I mean, it's so wild because they've built up to the third man, and it's finally come about. And if what you're saying is true, then like they just don't like take any time to savor that. That's so bizarre.
Well, they take a couple of weeks, and that's what I'll start with. Then is the first, and I will say the first episode right after Nitro, right after Bash the Beat, is actually kind of awesome. And it doesn't, in that it has this kind of uniquely somber mood. Of like it's like nobody can really like get off their minds how fucked up it is that Hulk Hogan betrayed them all. And it has almost this energy of like, if they could have not had a wrestling show tonight, they probably wouldn't have, because nobody has the real mental energy to do it, but they got to keep moving forward. But everyone is shook up by what Hogan has done.
I mean, that tracks, because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
one of the big highlights, even more than like Hogan coming out and revealing himself, was just how everybody reacted.
Mm-hmm.
Commentators especially. I mean, the fans, the revulsion they had toward it naturally was so powerful. But like, even the commentators did such realistic work, like with how ashamed they were of what was going on of Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
So I do appreciate that they're carrying that forward.
Yeah, so the first like we get a lot of promos from guys talking about it, because Hogan doesn't appear on this first episode after Bash at the Beach. They leave that, they tease it, but then they don't then they're like, he'll be here next week, guys, at the very end. But this first episode, it kind of lets people react to Hogan without Hogan being there, and I kind of appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And you get guys like Rey Mysterio is there as kind of like a voice of the fans without necessarily any personal betrayal, because he's not really associated with Hogan, but he's like the ultimate good guy, and he's like heartbroken for the fans and for the kids.
So Mysterio, because like the way they played Mysterio in the last episode, like I got the feeling he wasn't like a super huge like player, especially not someone they'd put on mic for a lot of that. Like, was he still like doing, his usual shtick and like actually getting some like mic time and stuff?
Yeah, this is actually it is pretty new for him to kind of get promo time, and he's obviously not great at it because he's very new to it.
Mm-hmm.
But he does feel genuine. He's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just so heartbroken by all this." And we get word from Jimmy Hart and Kevin Sullivan coming from the perspective of, Hogan's former manager plus some of his greatest enemies. And, Jimmy Hart is never been more sullen in his life than he is right now. Like, absolutely none of his cartoony bullshit comes through on this episode. And then Sullivan is just like, this is like karma for the evils that I have done in the world.
But why? Aren't they bad guys? Why aren't they sad that Hogan's like...
Well, I think this ties into something the Horsemen say later. But they're both kind of shaken by what's happened. And the giant takes the perspective of like, I don't care. It doesn't matter because I'm still the WCW champion. We're all safe as long as the belt's around my waist. This is foreshadowing.
So
then we get the Nasty Boys have a match, and then they cut a promo. Great. And they take the angle of like, and to be specific, they actually lose this match too. So they get this post-match interview, and they're like, you know what? The NWO, like, they take this attitude of like, you know what? Maybe the NWO is not so bad. And Mean Gene is extremely offended at the idea, but they're like, the NWO, Hulk Hogan, they go around here doing whatever they want. And we used to be like that too. So they're the only characters presented on screen who refuse to condemn Hogan's actions. And it's like this setup for them defecting, and then it never happens, mostly because they suck. Right.
Oh yeah, you said like Nasty Boys never got a full like come over to the NWO thing.
No, they never joined the group, even though the group has like 36 members.
Imagine being
in its history.
Imagine being so bad that even though you're personal friends with Hulk Hogan, and that even though literally anybody who so much as like breathes in their direction like becomes an NWO member, that you can't become an NWO member. At least
they're like, it's like, sorry, brother, no room in the group.
I just imagine like Hogan doing his like heel shtick that he did in his fucking You People promo last time. And like, just ranting as everyone's walking backstage, and like Nasty Boys try to like kind of walk back into the NWO area, and he like switches to his Terry Bollea voice and just goes, hey, look, sorry guys. I love you guys, but the other guys, they're not, they're kind of iffy on you. And I believe you me, I'd love to have you in here, but they're just so, and they outnumber me, and I
feel like Hogan would absolutely say that. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure you just actually said verbatim a conversation that happened backstage at WCW.
Well, because like I don't need to go into a whole thing about like Hogan, but like fucking the way he uses his like real voice, his Terry Bollea voice, almost feels like weaponized to be like, portray this like, relatable, down to earth persona, because he becomes so soft spoken and so like dignified, but it's all to just like in service of him lying constantly.
Yeah. So then we get the Horsemen get a promo, and Ric Flair doesn't give enough of a fuck about this. He's still ranting his normal shit, but Arn Anderson gets in his licks, and he kind of makes an interesting ideas. He's like, we know that we are no saints. We're no goody goods. But Hulk Hogan, we thought you stood for something. Like,
I don't know how I feel about that.
Like, Arn takes offense at the hypocrisy of it.
But why would he give it? Because I feel like any heel of this era like isn't substantial enough as like a 3-dimensional character to like be on that. Like, why?
I guess I could see it. Like, the Horsemen are relatively principled in their shittiness, to be fair. So, like, they are what they are, and everybody knows it. They don't pretend to be different. And so I could kind of read it that way. A wrestling blog I used to follow that did a lot of stuff covering this era always bemoaned the fact that like if only WCW had kind of leaned into the fact that everybody loves the Horsemen even though they're heels, and kind of shifted them to being like the anti-hero figures in this whole arc, people characters that are kind of dickbags, but the audience can still rally around to fight the NWO. And I kind of agree with that. And if they were going to go in that direction, this is the kind of thing you would want them to do. And it kind of could well position them in that way.
Yeah. It seems like I'm more surprised that they didn't lean into that super hard, because it feels like something they did, because the NWO became super popular. So, but they didn't lean into people loving them.
They leaning into the fact that people love the Horsemen.
Oh,
and positioning them in a more heroic fashion against the NWO, because they really don't. They kind of just take the Horsemen and make them like secondary villains.
Oh, okay. Oh, see, here's my thing. I keep thinking like the Horsemen means like the founders of NWO. I keep getting them mixed up. Okay, I need to stop.
Not even remotely did this the same.
Yeah, no. Okay, I keep thinking that. That's where a lot of my points of confusion comes from, just because, like, I don't know, I'm so used to us talking about like the horsewomen in NXT that I just think like, oh, the people who are like pioneering the thing are the horse people. But okay, noted, duly noted. Because that would be a really interesting angle to take it, is like kind of make them de facto anti-heroes to the NWO.
Yeah, and then Sting cuts the promo of his goddamn life when his response is like, you know what? Fuck you, Hulk Hogan.
That's dope.
He's like, he comes out and he's like, you know what? Now that I've had some time to think about it, I'm not surprised. Like throughout this episode, they kind of shift gears on Hogan. It stops being like, oh, woe is us, Hulk Hogan betrayed us, to being like everyone kind of feeling free to admit those feelings of like, you know, Hulk Hogan kind of always sucked, didn't he? And like everyone is now unafraid to say it. And that is epitomized with Sting, who's like, you always refuse to ride with us, referring to like Luger, Savage, Sting, the other good guys in the locker room. You always saw yourself as above us. You saw us as the little guys who were chomping at the bit for their opportunity to fight you, Hulk Hogan. You're always off making movies and you don't care about WCW.
Oh,
and then
yes.
And then he obviously goes in and was like, the kids, you were an inspiration to kids for years. Kids grew up wanting to be like you, and now they're having to destroy their merchandise. And he's like, you know what? He does. It's not a great line, but the way he delivers it, you just kind of see it, believe it. He's like, you know what, Hogan? You told those kids to stick it. Well, you know what? You stick it, Hogan.
Oh my God. Wait, this makes me really happy, mostly because I finally have someone other than Bobby Heenan pointing out correctly that Hogan's a giant douchebag. So I'm here for
it. Everybody is now like, man, Hogan kind of has always been a dick, hadn't he? Like, we get Larry Zbyszko gets a quip on commentary that Hulk Hogan makes Arnold Schwarzenegger look like Laurence Olivier, and it's one of his finest lines he's ever said on commentary.
That is, oh my God! Every once in a while, the wrestling world has crossed over with theater, and it makes me so happy when it does.
Yeah.
He.
So that kind of covers the first episode. The second episode, the big story bits are, you know, they're kind of revving up this idea that like we got to go to war with the NWO, and you kind of get differing attitudes of it. You get like Bobby Heenan being like, "We outnumber those guys. Let's go take them right now," and you get Tony Schiavone and Larry Zbyszko having this like philosophical argument on commentary because because Tony Schiavone is like, we all need to band together and trust each other if we're going to beat this menace. And then Larry Zbyszko, though, takes this attitude of like, this is proof that you can't trust anybody. Everybody needs to everyone in the back needs to know that they cannot trust any other human being back there. And Tony's like, no, if we do that, then we'll never win. Which, I mean, kayfabe. Well,
oh no.
Tony kind of had a point, didn't he?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. But they have this whole rallying cry. And then the second hour of the episode, we get Hall and Nash showing up. and they like take these like stupid sheets that they spray painted N, W, and O on, and they cover up the WCW logo on the set. That's their strike against WCW.
Oh wait, yeah, you sent me the picture of this.
Yeah, because it looked like shit.
But
the passive aggression is here.
But they painted the letters on the sheets anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So they just covered up WCW with WCW, but shittier.
No, it says NWO.
Oh,
it showed you the picture of the W.
Okay.
But it looked dumb and bad. And they had to sell it like this is a great injustice against us all. But then Hogan, he makes his first appearance in all black. Like that's his shtick. The black and white is now his color palette as opposed to the red and gold.
Has he dyed his beard yet?
No, that hasn't happened yet. He's still blonde. And he cuts this first promo, and it's a lot of the same content as the Bash at the Beach stuff. But he does explicitly lay out a challenge against the Giant for the WCW title at Hog Wild. That's their next pay-per-view, which I will be covering the next time we do WCW.
Okay.
So, and then in the third episode is a lot of, I will say at the end of the second episode, the main event was a Lex Luger coming back from injury against Big Bubba Rogers, noted the guy who shaved Shark's head. And they have a match, but it doesn't matter because it's all a setup for the NWO to show up and put the boots to both of them, kick both their asses. They attack Luger again.
Good.
And then Big Bubba Rogers tries to extend a hand. He tries to join the NWO. He tries to become the fourth man. And for a half second, Hogan looks like he's about to let him join. And then he has Hall and Nash kick his ass. They're like, fuck you, Bubba.
Good. But also, like, gotta love Hogan, like, just being such Hogan about it and having Hall and Nash do the dirty work for him.
Yep, he does. He ain't doing it.
It's so fitting, dude. They lean in so hard to what Hulk Hogan's been this entire time, and I love it.
Yep. And then the third episode is more who is the fourth man drama. In this case, basically, in the early part of the episode, they have this big tag match. It doesn't matter. It's between nobodies, because the point is they have this bit where Hall and Nash sneak into the production truck and like take it over during the show. And because in their words, they're trying to find a friend they got in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're doing these like pan shots as if they're looking for their friend. They don't find him before they get kicked out by security. And so they get a move on. And then near the end of the episode, we get this big black limo pull up in the parking lot. And they're like, that's the fourth man who's in the limo. And then of course we don't see who's in the limo. They never show that at all. But they do hint that it's Ric Flair in the limo, which leads to they try to red herring you that it's Flair. And that leads into the second storyline to cover. Oh, by the way, the Giant accepts Hogan's challenge for the WCW title. Right. So the secondary stuff with the Horsemen and Luger and Flair and Savage. Basically, the Horsemen kind of are directionless, sort of in these episodes, but they keep getting put in high profile matches, so I kind of have to talk about them. So the first episode, they're still kind of continuing their beef with the Dungeon in some way, but then once the storyline becomes the Giant versus Hogan, they back off because
that's not their bag.
Yeah, so it's kind of they kind of basically reignite their feud with Macho Man over took your wife, took your money, suck a dick.
Oh my god. Suck a
dick,
dumb
we're
shits.
Back. We're doing this again, and we got the whole crew with us now. Arn, Benoit, and old Steve Mungo McMichael. And Savage is like, you know what? Fuck you, Hulk Hogan, but also fuck you, Ric Flair. I'm in. They're always down to fight.
Isn't Savage face at this point?
Yes. Savage, Luger, Lex Luger, and Sting have kind of formed like they're teaming up through the Bash at the Beach stuff is now kind of, it's still continuing forward.
Nice.
Post Bash at the Beach. They're kind of this united good guy front. The locker room leaders, so to speak.
But he's down for teaming up with the Horsemen.
He's down to fight the Horsemen.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I misconstrued that. Okay.
Yeah. So they're still fighting and fighting, but we're also setting up for Hog Wild a tag match between the Outsiders and the team and two of Sting, Luger, and Savage, because they're like, you tried to hurt Luger again, and you know what? We're not standing for it.
I really hope it's Sting and Savage. Partially because fuck Luger, and partially because I think it'd be really funny if the guy that they kept sliding was not directly involved.
Oh, David, you're cutting out. You gotta repeat that.
Oh, hello. Yeah. No, I find it really funny if we got the tag team was Sting and Macho, because A, partially fuck Luger, and partially because B, I think it'd be really funny if the guy they were directly sliding twice was not involved.
That would be kind of funny, but I don't really remember who the tag matches is. So, but for that is where that's going. And then on the third of four storylines I feel like we should talk about is the the pursuit of the tag team championship. It is in your reminder, currently Harlem Heat are the champions right now. And not only that, they've got their managers back. Their managers being Sensational Sherry. I don't believe you've ever gotten to see her, and I don't know if she's on this episode. I've mentioned her as the Nega Elizabeth before.
Okay, yeah, that's where I've heard that name. Okay.
Yes, the Sensational Sherry Martel, and she's back together with Colonel Robert Parker. God, we see so much of this guy on this.
Oh God, why?
Yeah, and yes, once again, the guy dressed like the Confederate plantation owner is managing the tag team of the black guys. Thankfully, that's not the story like the first time that happened.
Oh,
thankfully, they're not really commenting on that part. It's all about the saucy romance between Colonel Parker and Sherry Martel. They have an entire history where the last time they were both managers of Harlem Heat, they were going to have a Vegas wedding, but it got interrupted by Medusa, the former Alundra Blaze. That was some weird romance angle. They just kind of dropped, and now they're just back together.
That's a lot.
It all happened in like late 95, early 96. So not covering that, but it happened. And right now we're seeing basically the Steiners are kind of positioning themselves as the next challengers. They're just going around kicking everybody's asses.
Dude, the Steiners are so wild to me just because they're so different than like what they become, or at least Scott. I don't know if
Rick's about the same. But
yeah,
old Scotty, he is far away from being Big Papa Pump.
Okay, this is an irrelevant question to what we're talking about, but just because I was watching a video that kept is that like something he officially goes by, or is that just like a fan name for him? Okay.
No.
Okay.
He's the Big Papa Pump, the Big Bad Booty Daddy. Scott Steiner. The Freakzilla. Scott Steiner.
Do you mean my math professor?
Yes.
Yes.
You will now always know what happens when you add Kurt Angle to the mix.
The numbers don't lie.
No, they don't.
Oh,
funny story, that triple threat match doesn't actually happen at Sacrifice. I forget. I believe Kurt Angle gets replaced and he has to fight somebody else.
Wait, what? Oh no!
Which is why the math gets thrown off. Scott Steiner doesn't win because they replaced Kurt Angle from the formula and threw the whole math.
Please tell me he cuts a promo about that.
Probably, but it's not as famous as the math one. So.
My formula was thrown out. But did he at least get to pummel Senior Joe?
I believe Joe was in that match, yes.
Okay, cool. But either way, oh no, poor Big Papa. Well, anyway, that's going way forward in space-time. Here, he's just a sweet little wholesome boy.
He's just I wrestled at Michigan guy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna dump you on your goddamn head.
That's still so wild to me. He's a U of M grad. Oh, Jesus. Anyway.
Yeah, fuck that guy then. Fuck the Steiners then, I suppose.
Hey, hold up a second. Only I'm allowed to say that.
Go Bucks, pal. Fuck the Steiners.
I mean, go Bucks. Yes, go Bucks entirely. But also, I'm the only one here who's allowed to be mean to Michigan. Okay.
What?
You don't even go here.
I'm an Ohio State grad. I'm not allowed to not be mean to U of M.
You don't even go here, and by go here, I mean live in Michigan.
I'm allowed to say what I want about the University of Michigan football.
Okay, well, yeah, fuck the football. Anyway.
Regardless, Steiners versus Harlem Heat seems to be the way this is going. They're beating everybody in the tag division. Probably going to beat some more people tonight.
Ooh,
and then the last storyline I think worth even talking about right now, the Cruiserweight Championship scene, where you'll remember Dean Malenko was the champion after being old Disco Inferno. Well, he's not anymore, because the night after Bash at the Beach, Rey Mysterio beat him for the title.
Yeah!
Rey Mysterio is now your new Cruiserweight champion.
Booyaka, booyaka!
Yep. And so, in that sense, it's now been a building up of two different challengers, and who will be the one to fight Mysterio next, we don't know yet. Obviously, Dean Malenko is on a bit of a war path. He wants his belt back. And he's even being recruited by Jimmy Hart subtly into the dungeon. Jimmy just keeps kind of showing up in Dean Malenko matches, and then he leaves. So, but it seems like he wants Dean Malenko to join the Dungeon of Doom.
Damn.
I don't know what they can offer Dean Malenko, but you know what? Sure, go for it.
Jimmy's an expert schmoozer. He'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah. And then Eddie Guerrero has also been winning a ton of matches recently.
Hey, nice.
Yep. He hasn't gotten as much character stuff because he kind of still isn't treated as somebody who should be important in character. He's the guy, he's the dependable guy to go out there and put on hella good matches. And he does. But that's what they want him to do, and anything more than that, and don't need it.
Eddie's a good boy.
He is a good guy. And if him and Mysterio have a match, it'll bang. So
that's that. I can get down for that. That sounds pretty fucking hype to me.
Yep. So if you would, that's our sum up for our episode coming up. We're gonna watch tonight. That is again the July 29th, 1996 episode of WCW Nitro. If you would like to watch the episode as well, then you can head on over to Peacock. That is WWE's American subscription partner, streaming service partner. It is $4.99 a month with ads, $9.99 a month without ads. It kind of sucks, but don't have any other options. Waka waka. If you're outside of the U.S., the WWE Network which is $9.99 a month American, as far I understand, it's the same price everywhere. Is still a thing. And if you Google on YouTube, you should be able to find bits of the episode. Normally, this is where I'm like, here's the big bit, but I'm kind of keeping that close to my chest for the sake of a surprise for David. So I'm not going to say what the big thing from this episode is, besides the fact it's the NWO stuff. But
okay.
If you just Google that date, you'll probably find something. You'll probably find some stuff.
Oh, shit. Oh.
All right. And then we'll be back here to talk about it in just a little bit.
Later.
And we are back. We have just finished the July 29th, 1996 episode of WCW Monday Nitro.
Yeah, simultaneously the wildest episode of wrestling we have ever watched, and the one where the least shit happens.
Yeah. And we'll explain why in a second.
Yeah.
But want to shout out the Disney MGM Studios back lot where they did this episode, and they've done the last 4 episodes as well.
Oh wait, was this the backlot? It looks like out front of like the entrance gate.
I assumed it was a back lot, but it could be out in front of the gate.
That would make sense then as to why the Tower of Terror looks so close to where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the gateway that was there looks like the entryway gate to the park.
Yeah.
Maybe they just built their own. I don't know.
Yeah, all I know is it is at Walt Disney World. The specifics of where in that park they are, couldn't tell you.
Fair enough.
But it's kind of neat in the sense that like WCW has history at Walt Disney World. This is where in 1994, when Eric Bischoff first took over as a cost-cutting measure, he basically moved WCW tapings to only be at MGM Studios.
Oh shit!
So like that, I've been trying to think of like why they would spend a month doing shows at Disney MGM, and that's probably it as a contractual thing, lingering even as they don't have to stay there all the time anymore.
Well, like low key, also as a cost cutting measure, probably a great idea after we splurged $1 zillion fucking dollars on the contract for Scott Hall and Kevin Nash.
It's true. But it's a neat little venue.
Yeah, it's cool that like it's a cool like shakeup of what's usually going on. It's got a kind of a nice aesthetic to it too. I like the wrestling out in the open air sort of thing.
Yeah, and it happens during the time period where it turns sundown. So like you start the show in the sunlight, and then by the end of the show it's totally dark.
That's kind of magical too. And like I even love too, like they just happen to be filming on like a night where it's a full moon, so they're able to get a shot like the moon hanging overhead. It's like, damn, you can't pay for that kind of production design.
Oh yeah, that was really cool. So to the show itself. Well, let's go ahead and start with like the one thing that happens, because
so I mean a lot of what happens in this episode, it starts off like, pretty standard. We get
a couple of matches.
Yeah,
I was gonna save those for after when we just
I mean just as a basic rundown, we get
it's Mike Enos versus Jim Duggan.
Jim Duggan.
It's
that. And then we get
I think then the next match is the one. Everything falls apart.
We get 6-man tag of the Horsemen versus, I don't know, La Resistance or whatever.
Luger, Savage, and Sting, whatever.
Do they ever get a name?
I don't think they do. No.
Woof. But yeah, so they're up against their babyface counterparts, I suppose, and I mean it's proceeding along as a decently solid match between all of them. Nothing super exciting, but it felt standard fare. Everyone's having a grand old time. And then all of a sudden, fucking Jimmy Hart comes out of nowhere. And he looks like completely manic, and he's like, "Somebody get a camera back here! Help! Help! Help!" Like shit's going. Oh, and also like we've started the episode too with like this little promo sort of where they talk about like the NWO has been continuing to fuck with people backstage and it's getting more violent. Like we get a video that Nash and Hall shot themselves of being fucking just off site and like ambushing Sting and Sting with a car truck.
Conveniently Luger and Sting separate when they're like on their way to a show, and then they just run out and like beat Sting's ass, and they stuff him in a trunk, or like they hit him with a trunk.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of setup and like foreshadowing. So Jimmy Hart's freaking out, and like if you watching that, like I kind of got the idea of like, oh shit, something's going down. And the match is kind of still going on, and Jimmy Hart's going up to the ring. He's like he's trying to drag a cameraman back to like further into the back lot. And like they're trying to get more he's trying to get the attention of the wrestlers in the ring, and they kind of slowly start to end the match and just kind of be like, what the hell is going on, Jimmy? Now are confused. Everyone's going, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And we cut and we see Nash and Hall standing over Arn Anderson with baseball bats.
Yeah, they've left Arn Anderson and then Scotty Riggs as well, one half the American males.
Yeah.
And this brings out Marcus Bagwell, the other half of that tag team, and they beat him up. They hit it. I think Nash runs over. Hall runs over and hits him with I can't even tell what exactly he hit him with. He hit him with
I can't either.
Because it's happening. It's all happening in the dark.
Yeah.
So we can't really.
Yeah,
see
it turns into
what they're doing.
it turns into cop style candid camera footage.
Yeah. And then Rey Mysterio pops out of the trailer.
Jumps from the top rail of the stairs leading up to the trailer, gets caught by Nash, and gets fucking as the announcer so eloquently put it, thrown like a dart onto the siding of the trailer and just falls to the ground.
And it's just well, dead.
I was happy to see him for a second. I was big mad they did my boy dirty like that.
Yeah. And then by that point, basically the other wrestlers involved in the match all kind of run to the back. And so the match is, by the way, ruled a double count out. And Savage gets there first. Randy Savage gets there first. And he is just going to town. And so Hall and Nash retreat into their limo. And eventually, as they try to drive off, Savage jumps onto the top of the limo. And we get this long shot coverage of him driving out of the parking lot with Savage on the top. And as they turn a corner and they disappear, you can see Savage kind of falling into the limo.
Yeah. We never get any resolution on that.
No, we don't. We get absolutely nothing on that, on what happens from there.
The way with what just happened, my first instinct is it's a ploy and Savage is the fourth man, but I have no idea, so we'll see. Okay. Also give me the cheeky shrug.
I'm not telling you who the fourth man is.
Yeah, I know. That was just
that gets a big emphasis on this episode too.
Again, they're not really savoring the whole third man thing, but okay. We have missed a month, or we have skipped over a couple months of this stuff, so fair enough. What's and then by the time that happens, they drive off, and everyone else is crowding around. The Horsemen's three women are all kind of standing over. They're mostly standing over Arn Anderson.
They kind of break off of the Horsemen and the women of the Horsemen are with Arn. The Cruiserweights are with Ray. It's Eddie Guerrero and Alex Wright. And then Sting and the baby faces are with the American males.
Yeah. And everyone's freaking out, and there's screaming, there's yelling, there's calling ambulance. Jimmy Hart's just kind of running around aimlessly.
Yeah, it's I will say that I thought that for what they were going for, it's very well put together.
Yeah, no.
Before I criticize the shit out of this for the big problem with it, but it was really well done. Yeah, it was really well done, and I just want to say, on a general note, these early NWO things, they are masters at making it feel like this was that whatever the outsiders are doing isn't part of the show. Yeah,
I was going to speak on that too. And I know the criticism you're going to have, and I think I'm going to have a slight disagreement with it because I think that's part of what makes it effective in some ways. The thing is, to kind of get to what you're wanting to talk about there, is that we stay on this. We just stay on this aimless pandemonium. The announcers are shaken up. They're like, what the hell's going on? Everyone's just screaming and yelling. At one point, a fire truck shows up, and an ambulance shows up. Shit's going down. It's just confused, manic pandemonia, and no one knows what the hell to make of it. And it stays that way for 2 whole segments. We go we cut over there and it goes to commercial. We come back from commercial. We get a full length of that, another commercial, more full length. And like we're seeing things like people slowly getting like treated by EMS, loaded into the ambulance. Eric Bischoff like makes a kayfabe breaking reference to one point at Sting's friendship with Anderson or with
Marcus Bagwell, one of the
Bagwell.
American males.
Okay, yeah. And like they go in the ambulance. Ray gets loaded into the ambulance, and Alex Wright is like, Alex Wright. The big thing is like Ray and Alex Wright are yelling like there wasn't 3 men, there were 4.
Yeah. So that if there's any the major plot beat of this segment, if you want to call it that, is that like Rey Mysterio swears that there were 4 that he saw 4 men.
Yeah,
which is confusing enough because it's not like there were even 3 of them. It was just Hogan wasn't there. So yeah. I don't know what he saw.
And also he was like in the trailer, like he popped out.
Yeah, he was in the he was in the
just
trailer
like watching it all go down and just was like, nah, I won't get involved.
Like he waited, like he just watched everyone else get their asses kicked. It was like it's when Marcus Bagwell went down that he was like, oh no. This is
the true injustice right here.
Yeah. So trying to not pick holes at that for a second.
Yeah.
Point being that like Mysterio swears there's 4, and that becomes the speculative notion.
And as they're going to the ambulance, Alex Wright is saying the same thing. He's like, he's saying there were 4. He's saying there were 4. Like that's a big thing. Is like that's Mysterio's big thing. Is he's like being driven away.
Yeah, is that he has to let everybody understand that there were 4 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So of course they're harping on that real big.
Yeah. But otherwise, yes, my criticism of the segment is while it works very well, I think it's kind of too long. Like, taking commercials out of it as we watch it, like a third of this show is nothing happening, just them like in the back, very realistically kind of, and to the point where it's like it kind of feels like they had like actual EMTs go through the actual routine of putting these people into an ambulance. Like, it takes so damn long, and like I guess I'm not qualified to know, but it sure feels like they went through the actual motions.
It looks pretty legit. Like it's not. I couldn't. I'm but a humble lifeguard. I'm not a fully certified EMT, but like from what I know, it looks legit enough. I'm sure there are things that are being like, half-assed or kind of like faked up a little bit for the sake of some expediency, but they make a pretty full show out of it.
Yeah, and like again, if in the sense of like making it feel like there's an actual like shit happened here, I can appreciate that. But even the crowd gets restless at this to understand, by the way, is that we're in this outdoor venue. So there's not really any video camera. There's not really any like video monitors anywhere, at least that none I can see.
Yep.
And this takes place what is ostensibly backstage. It seems like it's kind of behind where the crowd is. So the crowd doesn't see any of this. And it's all presumably happening in real time. And it takes like 30 minutes of the show to do this whole bit.
I understand where you're coming from. I will push back a little bit though, because I was thinking about this and I wanted to speak to this because I'd been thinking when we started this episode and just as we've continued to go along with this arc, like what is the effectiveness factor of the NWO, at least upon its inception? Because they have to, in order to make this work, they have to play it up that this is like some unexpected bullshit that they don't know how to address. And I wonder like how from week to week they continue to keep it feeling fresh and realistic and not just like, we're staging this shit. And I have to say, like, it must have sucked for the audience to be there live, but like, it's kind of a really admirably ballsy move on the point of WCW because they partially ruined the experience of an audience for the sake of like making this storyline feel legit. And I, in some ways, have to admire that because the audience chanting booing, like, that's another, like, you can't pay for that kind of production value sort of thing unless you have plants in there, like that was a genuine reaction from the audience, and it worked because one of the things that started happening was like, we have Bischoff and Co. like kind of on announcing, and they're talking about like, oh shit, this show's like falling apart in our hands, guys. What do we do? I don't know how to deal with this. And the audience plays into that in a way. Like they basically by like making this go on for way too long, they baited the audience into like making the show was falling apart in front of our eyes claim like feel extremely legit. And I have to give them a lot of props for the fact that they held on this so long to the point where like, back then when kayfabe was still kind of like, questionable, like it wasn't fully confirmed yet. I can't remember if like because curtain call hadn't happened by this point.
Curtain call did happen because that was when Hall and Nash leaving WWF.
Oh, that was yeah. Oh shit, you're right. Yeah, of course, duh.
But the notion of like disregarding that kind of kayfabe on air was still very taboo, generally speaking.
Yeah, and like it's one of those things of like, it feels like one of those things where you do a bit and then you go with the bit so long that people around you start questioning if it's like actually a bit or not. Like you can like, there's a part of your brain that like, will always intellectually understand that it is, but like it's just being dried on for so long that you're like, okay, like why are you still on this if it's a bit? Like, is something wrong? Like that's what it feels like. And I think it kind of works. Like, sure, it was weird to have this show only have like 4 matches for over 2 hours. But it did feel like a legit like emergency that was going down. Everyone played it super well, and the fact they lingered on it so long and everyone was so shaken up by it, they're continuing to pay forward this everyone playing into the shock value of this really well. And honestly, I think that trumps the like slight boringness to me, because again, the fact that you baited your audience into yelling boring to bolster your oh shit, what are we gonna do with our show thing, I think that's super cool personally. I think that's like a master. I think that's like some mad genius tier bullshit, like 4D chess fucking with your audience just for the meme.
I guess
I don't know. For someone like me, I appreciate the pseudo performance art.
Mm-hmm. I do get your meaning of them trying to like convince the audience this is real by lingering on this bit for so long.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of their general goals with the NWO is I've heard it said a lot of times when they have described this angle, it's a lot in terms of like how it makes the audience feel, is they wanted it to make their audience be like, oh, well, the wrestling, that's all fake, but not this part. This part's real.
Yeah.
And I do agree that making it last 30 years does add to the notion that this is a legitimate like emergency situation with genuine and not like just another bit in the show.
Well, because the thing is too, like we'll see like emergencies, kayfabe fake emergencies get handled on air, and it's the medics show up, and we linger on it for a hot second, but moving on, we got a show to do. But this is something where everybody's in panic mode and everyone plays it well enough that again, if you were there watching it in real time on your TV, it had to have been like kind of disorienting, like fuck, what is going on here? Is there something actually the matter? And the cool thing is too, like, this is their saving grace for the fact that WWE fucking sued them into oblivion for attempting to imply that this was their people doing the thing. So like, I do appreciate them being like, okay, well, that bite we don't get to have that bite to this anymore. So let's just keep fucking upping the stakes to compensate. And they are, and I appreciate it.
Okay. What else was I gonna say? I mean, I will say that I think everyone plays it really well, and it feels legit.
Yeah.
On which is always a little bit impressive, because as much as wrestlers are technically actors, they're not necessarily actors well known for like conveying realistic emotion.
Yeah. I was surprised that nobody really oversold this.
Yeah, I agree. No, everyone felt like realistic is probably like subdued enough that it feels legit and not like, oh no, like no one was overacting at all.
Oh my God, I know. And even like Hull and Nash, like they were effective for the little bit they appeared to, because like they weren't trying to cut a promo with it. They weren't playing in, they weren't, overselling a whole lot either. They were just there. They knew they had the power over the situation. They kind of like strolled off, and there was something, it's hard to describe. And, maybe this is who knows, how intentional this is. Whenever I inject a lot of nuance into my readings of this sort of thing, I can never be sure how much of it is intentional, because like it's wrestling, and, sometimes the boys don't use their thinkers. But like, there was something about when Mysterio tried to attack Nash. There was something about the way Nash retaliated that it lacked in-ring panache. It seemed like an actual like attack. This wasn't play fighting. This was Nash like at his most like legitimately, I'm a shithead menacing and I'm gonna fuck you up. Just getting rid of someone who's trying to like stop them from doing the shit they want to do. Just the way he caught Mysterio and threw him. It wasn't flashy. It didn't read like he was playing in ring. It looked like he's just an evil motherfucker who's just doing what he does best.
And to your credit, like I do agree that the way they structure that is it doesn't feel like a wrestling move. He doesn't do a wrestling move. He just chucks Mysterio head first into a trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's that felt surprisingly real. And that's such a great little touch. It's one of those like you don't notice it but your brain does sort of things. That I think speaks so well to like why this angle was so successful early on. They were good at they were really good at understanding how things like this could read to an audience, and they capitalized on that exceedingly well, I think.
Yeah. And so this segment kind of fucks the rest of the show.
And that's the other cool thing about it.
Is that because they advertised at the beginning of the show 2 championship matches, Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight Championship, and the Giant versus Arn Anderson for the WCW Championship. Yep. And we'll get to what they replaced those with later.
Yeah, Mysterio's out of commission, Arn's out of commission. And like, as grumpy as I am that I didn't get to see Mysterio versus Guerrero, like the fact that they put their 2 like title matches out of commission for this, and replaced them with things that were comparatively lackluster. I almost feel like it was on purpose that they were, again, placed so well into this. Like, it just feels like so fucking last minute.
It does. It like, yes, the 3 matches they put on after the incident in the parking lot do feel like thrown together shit matches, and they are.
Yeah.
And on an entertainment level, as looking at it from like long-term like 4D chess storytelling, I can appreciate how that makes sense.
Like, I don't have enough like something about like just falling on my knees and sucking WCW's dick over this like feels like I feel like if I get too hyperbolic with this, we'll get people that are like you don't need to salivate this hard over it. But like, God, think about it. Nothing like this had ever been done before, and nothing like this has ever been done since. And the amount of thought that went into like all the little touches that made it feel as viscerally exciting as it did, like, God, you have to give it up for a lot of fucking creativity here.
It was a very cool concepted idea, and it was very ballsy when you are blatantly in the middle of this ratings war with Raw.
God, I know.
This is what you structure an entire episode around.
Well, the thing is too, like, I was wondering, like, for doing shows at Disney World, it feels like if you're doing shows at Disney World, they have to like even if they're televised, having like important storyline things happen at Disney World feels like it should be like not a thing that happens. It feels like Disney World matches should just be like house shows only. Because like that's what doing a show
as someone who's watched all 4 of these episodes, they kind of do. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Like, I had the thought at the beginning, like, if you're doing it at a theme park, it feels like something about doing it at like the artificiality of theme parks makes it feel like you have to do it like house show style. Just I don't even know. Like, there's no reason other than like it just cosmically feels like that's how the world should be.
Yeah, like they don't really advance a lot. Like,
yeah,
our front half was very barren, and then this is even worse. It's even worse in that regard.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking of. Like this does kind of end up being it ends up being a stealth house show, which is in some ways even more brilliant. Like they had their cake and ate it too. Of like the audience gets the like live audience gets an admittedly very lackluster house show, and the at-home audience gets this fucking mind-blowing advancement to the NWO storyline that's like so good in retrospect that I'm geeking out super hard over an episode of wrestling that is barely any fucking wrestling in it.
Yeah. And speaking of stuff that only existed for the home audience is actually pretty significant. And it's kind of wild to me that both the lawn dart incident and this happened on the same show. Yeah. We got the very first paid advertisement from the New World Order.
Oh my God.
Which featured the debut of their theme song. Forever.
Damn, why? Why do wrestling themes have to get so repetitive? Oh, I hate it.
But and obviously they want to talk about putting thought into the bit is that they created an in-universe reason why the NWO get to do promos is they're literally paying for ad space.
Yeah,
on Nitro.
It's so funny,
and they will explain where they're getting that money. By the way,
yes,
not gonna say any more than that, but they're even gonna go that far.
Oh God.
So we get this promo, and 2 things. There's things to note visually speaking: black and white, cool. Second of all, it feels very late 90s edgy, like editing style.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God.
They're doing so many cuts. They're doing so many effects.
Oh my God. I know, it's so stupid. And
I can't even describe it. You kind of just need to watch it and
the acting is the same way too. Like it's like they're all acting so cool.
It's all acting like 3 different ways, which is Kevin Nash plays it relatively seriously. Like he's just kind of straightforward. He says his lines, and he's trying to sound intimidating. And so I don't even remember any of them. Then you get Scott Hall, who's like fading in and out of doing his Scarface voice. And then
was that a part of the copyright problem? Was doing the voice?
Yes, because the voice makes it clear what he's doing, that he's doing a Razor Ramon ripoff. It's not, he can't argue that he's not doing Razor Ramon when he's also doing fake Cuban.
So instead he's like slipping into something vaguely Canadian. Okay.
And then you get fucking Hogan.
Oh.
Who we talked last time how it felt like Hogan was trying to restrain himself to be more heelish. By now, he's figured out, what if I just act more obnoxious than usual?
This
is what Hollywood Hulk Hogan sounds like for the rest of time.
I don't know what to make of this, okay? Because on one hand, it like kind of works that he's going so over the top, and it almost feels like it's him just like leaning in and being purposefully obnoxious. And like it works for like Hollywood Hulk and him being like a heel and, you know, just not giving a shit anymore. But on the other hand, it feels like he's trying to be legitimately like intimidating and scary.
And this is all he knows how to do.
Yeah, and it's just like it's just the Hulk Hogan bit, except more annoying. It sounds like he's literally just trying to do like I'm evil.
Yeah, pretty famously, the story goes that like they do the shoots for these things, and Hall and Nash would keep having to tell Hogan to tone it down because they're like, dude, you're ruining the vibe because you don't know how to do anything but be Hulk Hogan in these things. Like, dude, almost tone it down a little bit.
It almost feels like Hulk Hogan's doing like an accidental Randy Savage impression, like just with how intense he's going and like using his hands and shit.
Oh yeah, okay. He does the thing that Scott Hall does. The lines, like this promo is kind of insane because they try to hit everything at once.
Yeah,
they try to hit their like motivations as a group, shitting on the babyface team, and then because they have the match at Hog
Billionaire
Wild
Ted. Gotta call out Billionaire Ted.
Oh yeah, Billy. One of my favorite Hogan lines here. It's just because of how stupid it was. He goes, "Billionaire Ted with the billionaire's horses and the billionaire's men will never be able to put WCW back together again."
Oh, my favorite Hogan moment in this, because this was the one where I truly had no goddamn idea whether or not he was playing his shtick unironically, was him being like, "Oh, I almost forgot. I have a match with the Giant. Oh, I almost forgot that, guys." And I legitimately cannot tell if that's him being like him being like ironically taunting and just like, "Hey, look at how obnoxious I am, ha," or him trying to actually be like, play Hollywood Hulk like he's like, match with the Giant NBD, and again it just comes across as fucking incompetent at being evil because it's Hulk. I can't tell. I have no idea like how deep this goes.
It's also nuts. And my favorite moment that wasn't Hogan bait related was when Hall tries to like connect the New World Order together. As if it needs to be explained what that means, why you use that terminology, even though like it's kind of like a relatively well-known like conspiracy theory terminology, the concept of a New World Order.
Yeah.
But he still feels like he has to explain why they're called that. And he tries to tie it back and it doesn't work.
No.
He's like, it's perfect. We're called the New World Order because we're new. We're trying to take over the world championship wrestling, and when we're giving out all the orders, it's like, you tried and you failed.
Okay, so you have some backstage like lingo on this from like people telling stories about it and shit. Yes.
Not really beyond the part where they were like telling Hogan to calm the fuck down.
Okay, because here's what I'm wondering too is like, this promo is so fucking disorganized. It's basically the same issue I have with like not being sure what angle Hulk Hogan's meaning to go with this, but on a broader level, like this promo is so disorganized and so chaotic, and like I have to wonder if it was just like ineptitude on their parts, or again if it's them just being like, we're gonna do whatever the fuck we want because we're just clowning on people.
That part, it is known that basically they were riffing the whole time, and then they were just gonna edit together something later.
That's fair. So like that, okay. That reads then. They weren't trying to put together something that was like legitimately well structured.
No, it was all they were trying to do this off the cuff, and it feels very disjointed.
It feels like that.
It feels like around.
I don't want to give in to the most normie meme possible here and say it feels like the Joker, but it feels like the Joker. Like just like they're just "we live in a society" posting the entire time. Just
we live in a society, dude,
brother. It feels like they're Joker posting the whole time just because they can. Like they bought the ad space and they're just like, we're just gonna waste everybody's time because why the fuck not? Like we're just having fun fucking with people here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fun. I don't know if I would. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. It's a lot of conflicting thoughts because there's a lot of fun stuff here, but yeah, it's very disjointed to listen to.
I think for this episode, it's effective because it feeds into like this idea of WCW losing control of their own show.
That's true. Like they disrupt the show. They disrupt the show so hard, and then they literally bought ad space on your show too. So
yeah. because that's what they're leaning into here is like Eric Bischoff losing control. They even have fucking Bobby Heenan walk out on him at one point.
Yeah,
like,
because the bit in the parking lot bleeds into the second hour transition, and so Eric and Bobby are out there to like do ostensibly replace Larry and Tony.
Yeah.
And Bobby's like, listen, you know what, Eric? Listen, I had a series of history of neck injuries.
Which,
and,
like, a wild thing for him to bring up, too. Like, people don't fucking acknowledge their, like, IRL injuries on screen. So that was nuts.
And he's like, listen, like, I've had that. And, you know, between what's just happened out there and what happened, a couple weeks ago is I am not doing commentary on this show unless you can provide me security. You can guarantee my safety. And Bischoff is open like, man, I can't do that. Yeah. And if you want to walk out right now, I don't blame you. You do what you got to do. And he does. Heenan walks out and doesn't do commentary.
Yeah. It's so wild. I know I never shut the fuck up about the Summer of Punk, but this really does feel like the spiritual predecessor to like the Pipe Bomb promo. Because like everything the Pipe Bomb promo and Summer of Punk did was fucking built on like this foundation of we are going to break our own rules to deliver the most like mind-blowingly disruptive story we can think of to shake up the status quo and like get audiences insanely invested.
Yeah, I mean, I see those comparisons.
It's so like this feels like, you know, the prototype of that, and it's so cool to see like in action. And again, the balls on Eric Bischoff to do all of this. I can't like begin to fathom how ballsy a move this was. Like you're fucking going up against WWF, sniping two of their like former stars, and then just doing the wildest shit you can think of with your own show in a desperate bid to outpace like the hegemonic wannabe monopolistic competition. It's so fucking insane.
Completely works.
And it completely works. That's the thing. It actually pays off. That shit doesn't happen in wrestling.
We are in the dead center of the 83 weeks.
Oh shit.
Like the ratings for this episode, Nitro won with a 3.1 versus a 2.1.
Holy shit!
The kind of shit was a huge success.
This is so fucking insane, dude. I cannot like wrap my head around how good how good this all is. It's so awesome. Like, God, fuck the fact that the rest of the episode is like garbage. Just the long-term storytelling here. I can't. It's so brilliant, and like this is what I mean when I talk about how wrestling can be high art. You can do so much with wrestling storytelling that you just like can't do in any other fucking format. And I know I've said this about this era before, but like this is the prime example of it. This is masterful in its storytelling execution, and I can't it blows my mind that they did this and it worked, and that like what fucking 30 40 years later I'm still like I'm geeking out about it because like nothing like this has ever been done since.
Oh. Nah, it is pretty sick. His early NWO is so sick.
It's so fucking good. Again, they cut away from their own show for half an hour to just show people panicking in a parking lot getting loaded onto trucks. Why is that so good? Oh,
how did it work?
Oh my god. Yeah. I tried to like start off being like articulate here, but I'm just geeking out at this point. It blows my mind that this is a thing at all. Yeah. God damn.
So now that we've covered the two extremely iconic moments of this episode,
talk about understanding your medium. Like, okay, I know you're trying to transition here, but that's really what it is here. They understood the medium they were working in, and they took full advantage of every fucking little like every little possibility, like every little like hook they could grab onto, they did. And anyway.
Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and talk about the rest of this episode probably as quickly as we can, because there's not a whole lot to say either. Anyway,
it's not. It's a Garbo episode. That's the funny thing. It's simultaneously one of the best episodes we've watched, and just one to throw in the pile of like what this fucking whatever.
No wonder they had to spend 30 cut away from their own show for 30 minutes. Look at this garbage. Look at this other garbage.
But it was also Garbo on purpose, which makes it cool. I don't know.
Well, the second half was Garbo on purpose.
Okay,
the first half was as intended. So
okay. Well, the first half, fuck the first half. We get
Mike Enos, who's
Mike
Enos
or Enos.
I don't know.
It
sound whatever. And versus Jim Duggan.
I can't remember his name. He's just the annoying America guy.
It's the same shitty match Jim Duggan always has. Where
why is Duggan a face? Why
America?
Is Enos, why? but he's so dumb. Why is Enos? What has Enos done to like be the heel?
Not be America.
But he's from Murray, and like, what the fuck has like, how is Duggan getting away with taping his fist both with the rec and with the audience?
Because America. Anyway, yeah, he tapes his fist. He hits him with a taped fist, and he wins the end.
It's so bad. It's not okay. It's technically fine wrestling, but it's so fucking unremarkable.
Mm-hmm.
So goddamn unremarkable, dude. It's so stupid.
I have seen more technically inept wrestling in my life, but that doesn't mean I'm excited to watch Jim Duggan.
It's boring, and I hate Jim Duggan as a character so much. And like, the worst part is like, again, the whole ref thing. Why does he keep getting away with that? There is nothing to explain it. How do we simultaneously have like the most insane 4D chess storytelling we've ever had in any wrestling media we've ever fucking watched ever, and a show that can't bother to explain why the fuck Jim Duggan keeps getting away with taping his fist for no apparent reason other than the ref just like randomly turns blind for about 10 seconds every time he puts tape on his fucking fists.
The duality of wrestling, truly.
I don't get it.
Anyway, after the match, we get another one of Hulk Hogan's friends cutting a promo about Hulk Hogan being a heel now. They really made that the theme of these MGM shows. And old Jimmy is Duggan. Jimmy Doug is like, this isn't you, Hulk Hogan. I've seen your heart. And it's the same shit. It's the same shit everyone else says, to be honest.
Jim is Duggan down into his soul and belting back up some words.
I made fun of Jim Duggan because he talks about his daughter being a Hulkamaniac. And I'm like, oh, Hulk, you have a daughter and he's not even you're not even her favorite wrestler.
And wasn't it during their match the announcers were really going on about like how stupid these two men were? Like they just kept insulting their intelligence. Like
no, I don't know if they insulted Enos, but they definitely insulted Larry Zbyszko. Absolutely called Jim Duggan stupid.
He just kept calling him stupid, and like I'm like base, but it's so funny. He just kept being like, yeah, he's a meaty boy with not much upstairs, and I'm like, okay, I didn't realize we talked about our wrestlers like this back then, but sure.
Yeah, I need to show you the match that happened on one of WCW's minor shows, where Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan was calling the match. And at one point, Tony Schiavone, like, offhandedly mentions that Jim Duggan is college educated, which he is, by the way. He is legitimately graduated from college. And Bobby Heenan spends the entire rest of the episode giggling and refusing to do commentary because at the notion of Jim Duggan having gone to college.
An entire episode?
Actually, the entire rest of the match.
Okay.
He spends the rest of the match giggling and laughing at the thought of Jim Duggan going to college.
Based Bobby Heenan. Why? Why do I keep agreeing with Bobby Heenan? He's so obnoxious.
But he's right because he's the brain.
He's the brain. Oh, man. Oh, no.
Anyway, done with that.
Done
And
with
then
that.
we got the old the 6-man tag. It is, as David said, it's pretty solid match overall.
I mean, the fun thing is, like, you know, before the match even starts, they're fucking at each other's throats.
Oh yeah,
They all hate each other.
Randy Savage goes straight for Flair, and so they all have to kind of break it up. They all have to kind of
Flair
break
gets
it up
slammed
before the
into his
match
feast again at one point. Flair goes, and this is a great move. Well, okay, great storytelling wise, not great with who Ric Flair is as a person, especially with some recent
Right.
recent
This is our
revelation.
first episode with Ric Flair post Dark Side of the Ring.
Post Dark Side of the Ring. Oh God. Oh no.
At least I'm pretty sure Elizabeth consented to this. So
yeah. Well,
there's
he
that.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, out of kayfabe, Rick did not ask her beforehand. I doubt he did. But yeah, at one point, Rick, like, stares at Savage, and then, like, runs out of the ring, fucking kisses Elizabeth, and, like, comes back into the ring, and Savage is big mad about that.
It's a great character bit.
It is a great character bit. Just playing on that shit with Savage.
Yeah. And then it's a lot of the match. Flair is there to, like, Flair is there to be very giving and let people kick the baby faces kick his ass.
He really Flair. It feels so bad talking good about Flair nowadays. But Flair, like, he does a great, like, dual job of being, like, intimidating and powerful. Like, he lets the faces get their licks in without ever feeling depowered.
Yeah, and that's probably his greatest strength as a professional wrestler, is his ability to thread that line. Like, be the sniveling coward that the baby faces get to just beat the fuck out of, but then also be like the technical wizard, the greatest wrestler on the planet who can out wrestle anybody.
He's a clown. He's a really good clown, but he's a clown that can kick your ass.
Yep.
Is kind of how it is. At least there's one member of each tag team that's not a total shithead. Two members of La Resistance, one member of Horsemen.
Yeah, because this also is our first match with old Chris Benoit in it.
Well, no, we've had another Benoit match before.
I didn't think. I
thought first episode. I thought first episode we had a Benoit.
I thought we just had a promo bit with him.
Oh well, we had something with Benoit. I don't know.
But it is fine. Like, it's very easy to see Benoit's talent. Unfortunately, I brought this to David up. Is it like, obviously, you for us, it's a matter of whether you can separate art from artist in this kind of situation. And I would probably have a slightly easier time. I don't know if I'd successfully do it, but, like, it sucks that, like, the guy who would become a murderer, his in-ring character was that he is intense and violent.
Yeah.
And that is something that is frequently, like, commented on.
I mean,
his character.
The thing about Benoit is, like, unlike who he, like, became has overshadowed anything else about his career. That, like, it's kind of easy in matches like these to just kind of pretend like he doesn't exist and just kind of not notice him.
Yeah. And there's a whole level of, like, how much it sucks that his entire career has basically been swallowed by everything that happened at the end of his life. And, to be honest, woman's career too.
Oh God, that's a really heartbreaking.
Nancy Benoit's career has suffered the exact same fate for the same reason.
Yeah, although, like, we can look at her with a sympathetic eye, and it's more just like, fuck, it's such a tragedy we lost, like, someone like this, because she seems legitimately great.
Yep, it's you're not wrong. But anyway, Mongo McMichael, he's here too. He's fine. I don't have any issues with him, except that he's not really a good wrestler anyway.
Oh yeah, he's just kind of doing whatever.
He's trying real hard, and that's, like, good for you, man.
Good job, buddy.
But then it all ends in an old double count out because everyone runs out to go be like, "What the fuck's happening in the back?"
Sting continues to be the best part of all of this. Fight me.
Hell yeah, the man called Sting.
I love.
We are so close to not having that theme anymore, so I'm savoring it where I can.
I love my face painty boy so much.
Mm.
May he live forever.
So we're gonna skip ahead 30 minutes of hanging out in the back and get to the post trailer, the post parking lot fight.
Yeah, and this is where the episode becomes intentionally garbo.
Right. They're intentionally throwing together matches. They even call them like standby matches.
Yeah.
Or stand-in matches, sorry. And the first one is a tag team match between High Voltage. Kenny Chaos and Robbie Rage. And their shtick is their big steroidy muscle boys in hot pink spandex. The end.
Yeah, when they walked out, I was like, Heart Foundation?
Nope. They they have lightning effects in their theme song because they're High Voltage.
Yeah, sorry, and who are their opponents?
The Steiner brothers.
Oh, Steiners, okay. Yeah, they were up against the Steiner. I will say, when it comes to the High Voltage boys, this one I was just kind of like, man, whatever. You seem to be like legitimately perturbed. Is there something here that's like you particularly do not like these guys?
No, they just kind of suck.
Oh, okay.
And I can't tell them apart. So
fair, dude. That's me. That's me with half the wrestlers on this show still.
Yeah, but I pride myself on actually on like being able to know who these people are, and I couldn't tell you who's Kenny or who is Chaos and who is Rage.
I just get
High Voltage.
Money in the Bank 2011, and I like Miz, Alex Riley, it's all the like lanky white boy wrestlers, which I say as a lanky white boy, but like God, they all just like blend together so hard.
In this era, it's all the big steroidy white guys. That all spin together. But the match is whatever. It's probably the best match of these three that they do. And it ends when Scott Steiner's a really gnarly spot pile driver to one of High Voltage. He's 4 people have been put in an ambulance tonight, and Scott Steiner was going for 5.
Yeah, Steiner, keep doing it, buddy. You're okay.
They keep winning. They're probably going to face Harlem Heat for the tag. They're going to go face Harlem Heat for the tag titles in front of a bunch of motorcycle bikers.
I will say what's cool about this match, and like all the subsequent matches, is like the commentators are talking like, oh, these guys are all shaken up from like what just happened. They talk about like a lack of focus, and I didn't notice just because I don't have a whole lot of history with watching any of these guys, but like I trust that they were probably playing somewhat into that. Like they were told to start off kind of like weak and shaken and shit.
Yeah, most obvious I think is Rick Steiner. He spends the first couple minutes of the match not even like engaged. He's not on the apron waiting to tag in or anything. He lets Scott go alone. And they play that off as he's too shaken up to even really get in the ring right now. And Scott has to kind of be like, hey, man, get in here.
So even when the show kind of returns to its normal, they just aggressively do not let you forget that, like, something is amiss here and everybody knows it.
Yeah. And then we get the stand-in for Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, where we get Eddie Guerrero versus Big Bubba Rogers. That was certainly a replacement.
Yeah, grumpy. It was dumb. It was fine, but it's dumb. But again, they get a cool thing out of like, oh, Guerrero's shaken up too. He was preparing to fight Rey Mysterio. Now he's got a big lumbering opponent instead, and like that puts you in the wrong headspace. And he's already shaken up. Yada yada yada.
Yeah. Probably most interesting to me is the fact that Big Bubba doesn't really seem shaken up about it. It's like that's kind of neat. neat little character beat that like some of these guys don't give a fuck.
Yeah, some guys are just like, I'm here to work. Whatever.
Parking lot assaults. I wasn't there, so it's not my problem.
Yeah, that does scan for some of these guys. So like, kudos.
Yeah. So Eddie wins because they still need him to be a top guy. They still would like him to fight a Rey Mysterio for the title. So
again, house show vibes.
Yeah, house show vibes. And then our main event, which again is replacing the Giant versus Arn Anderson, is the Giant versus our favorite boy who needs 12 to 15 minutes to warm up, Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Oh man. It was funny too because like right before that match started, Austin waved his cursor a little bit, and I saw like the the scrubber or the timer on the episode, and like there were about 12 minutes left when Austin did that. And then Austin reminded me of the 12 to 15 minutes leave. I'm like, shit, he has less than 12 minutes left. Oh no, boys, he's not gonna make it.
He's not gonna pull this one out.
No.
And now he lasts like 2 minutes before the Giant.
Dude, it was effectively a squash, which was cool because like the other brilliant the brilliant thing about this match, God, it's so how does the match simultaneously bad but good? Was like it's such a squash, and Giant fucks him up real good. And what's wild, what I kind of noticed about it is like because Giant of course goes directly into promo about how he's gonna fight Hulk Hogan, yada yada. But it serves to like keep powering him up amidst all of this. Like you have this great triple threat of like everybody's shaken up, so we're not sure like what's going on. The match had to be like changed up so in there, and Giant is so pissed about is so fucking like roided out, ready to fight Hogan that he just destroys Valentine. He just destroys, and it ups his power level, which builds hype for his fight with Hogan. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah, because we're 2 weeks out, so it's time to rock and roll.
It's so stupid, but it's so smart. Yep. This is wrestling. Welcome.
Yeah. And then the aftermatch promo is a whole lot of the same stuff. Only two things that I really remembered is that Giant starts the promo doing a Hulk Hogan impression.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought that was funny. And then Gene Okerlund kind of ruined it by being like, now, hey, wait a minute. You're parodying Hulk Hogan. And I'm like, thanks, Mean Gene. I didn't get that.
Really?
And then it ends with Jimmy Hart getting the last couple of words. And he manages to just start ranting about how he's lied so much in his career. He actually started believing his own lies. And then he ends as if he remembers what he's supposed to be talking about here.
It got really weird.
And the Giant's going to beat Hulk Hogan. Okay, bye.
Jimmy Hart just kind of like got the most honest he's ever been in his career, and just like was just bared his soul for a hot second. It's like, are you okay, buddy?
He's like, right. Oh, yeah. Promo about.
Does this go anywhere?
No, of course not.
God, Jimmy Hart, the ultimate fucking troll of wrestling. I hate him so much. He's effective, but he's so fucking annoying. I know that's his character, but still. But I mean, there's a great bit where he's like, Gene points out that Hulk had. Or that Giant was doing a Hulk impression. He's like, I know. I just want to show how easy it was to do the sort of thing Hulk does. For years, he's been doing this. He's conned you, America.
I forgot when he said that Hulk Hogan conned America.
Okay, you got a good little giggle fit out of there. Is there any particular reason, or you just find it like silly?
I just think it's a very funny line.
Okay. See, I was super into it because it's like, yes. This is like Bobby Heenan in the back going, why were you booing me? I was right. Like, it's just validation for everything, like, anyone ever thought about, everything bad someone ever thought about Hulk Hogan in the back of their mind. Like,
the Giant added yet another dig at Hulk Hogan having a movie career.
Yeah, of course, as you do. But I did appreciate it. It was a great little moment where he's like, it's so easy to do what Hulk does. Why did you idiots fall for this for so long? And I'm like, that's what I'm saying.
That's it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool bit there.
I felt seen. Thank you, Giant. And the episode wraps up and Gabagoo.
They do a third this is the third replay they've shown of the backstage brawl, and they freeze frame on Rey Mysterio making contact with the trailer, and that's how they end the episode.
Such a great freeze frame. I stan.
Yep. And so that is our episode of Nitro. It's again, outside of about 35 minutes, it is total ass.
But like good total ass.
But then the NWO is here to be the only good part of this show.
Yeah, it's like it's ass, but just it's also so intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts here. But because like the overarching story and theme they have going on is so well done that it just like I don't even know if half the shit I was praising here was intentional, dude, but it sure as hell feels like it was. That's how good the like overarching NWO stuff is. Oh my god. I'm all in on the NWO train. I know it gets dumb at a point, but I want to ride its good shit for as long as I possibly fucking can. And this felt like the primest example of just how balls to the wall they were willing to go for NWO. Mm-hmm. Even more than Hulk being the third man. This is because like Hulk being the third man, like, yeah, that was super dope and like super nuts, but it's also something that like can happen in the world of wrestling on a somewhat regular basis. Like, people have heel turns, and sometimes it's the last one you'd expect, and sometimes the big star doing something heinous, but it happens. But this is like they remove themselves. They put themselves into the fucking real world. They're blurring those lines. And even if you know with complete certainty that all of this is staged, intellectually understanding that like what they're doing here is so like mind-bogglingly good.
Mm-hmm. And that is a wrap on this episode. And so our next episode, our first episode in October. That we will film in October. This is going to drop in October. So I figured that what would be a good idea to do would be an episode of Raw that happened on Halloween. So October 31st, 2011. We're back, baby, in 2011. That episode, but the thing is, David, that wasn't just an episode of Raw that aired on Halloween. It was also the episode where they had a little bit of an invasion from the Muppets. Next week, we are doing the Muppets episode of Monday Night Raw. October 31st.
Is it David's birthday? What did I do to deserve this gift from my generous co-host?
You deserve to be excited about a surprise I throw at you for once on the show.
Yay! I got a good surprise on Noobs and Knockouts. Yay! Oh, that's so cool. I'm so excited.
But that is for next time. So, David, you can go ahead and hit our plugs.
Oh, yes, sir. Alrighty, my friends, my dear, dear friends. Thank you so much for joining us once again on another episode of the Noobs and Knockouts podcast. We are so happy to have all of you here listening to us, watching us, what have you. For all of those who are returning listeners, watchers, what have you, thank you so much for once again welcoming us back into your eyeballs, your eardrums, whatever else you use to consume content. We are so delighted that you spend this time with us and hope you keep coming back for more and more and more. If you are a brand new to our podcast, an outsider, if you will, welcome to the show. We are so happy that you decided to join us. We here at the Noobs and Knockouts podcast like to think that we cater to both noobs and knockouts alike. So whether you're a longtime wrestling fan or someone who's just brand new to the sport, the hobby, the whatever, we hope you feel welcome here. We certainly welcome you with open arms and hope you're having a great time. If you have been having a great time and you would like to keep having a great time with us and you're not entirely sure how to do so, not to worry, my friends, I have you covered. First of all, you can find us on YouTube. We are the Noobs and Knockouts podcast on YouTube. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, make sure it turns a nice solid color so you get notified every single time we drop a new episode, which is usually once a week. add us to your playlist, like us, comment on us, check out our playlist. All of our on YouTube, all of our arcs that we follow are organized in their own separate playlists. Austin is kind enough to do that for us. It's really great. So if there's a specific storyline you're interested in checking out, kind of like in a burst rather than like the little sample platter we usually do, check out our playlists. They're all there organized. So if you want to see Summer of Punk or NWO or our Lucha stuff, whatever, it's all there organized for you. We are also on the audio only versions for those of you who just like using your earlobes to join us. We are on 3 of the best places to find your podcast, and that would be Spotify, Apple, and Google. Check us out on all 3 of those platforms. Give us ratings, give us downloads, all that, delicious interaction, engagement, dear Lord. Listening to episodes too, that helps. Let's these platforms know, hey, these guys are pretty cool. Maybe more people should check them out. I don't know. I'm just saying, we just like getting that engagement, that feedback, what have you. We are also on social media. There are 3 kind of main places you can find us. First of all is Twitter. For those watching, I'm pointing down below. I always get this mixed up because it's backwards. You can follow us on Twitter at Noobs and Knox Pod. That's Noobs, the letter N, Knox Pod on Twitter. We post every single time we drop new episodes. We engage with the broader wrestling fandom on a whole. We drop some spicy memes. We drop some great insights, all that good stuff. Of course, the main attraction of our Twitter is Austin live tweeting his wrestling watching. My friend, what is on the docket coming up?
Yep. So, as per usual, every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT is AEW Dynamite. The show that I most consistently watch live, so we're going to live tweet it every single week. In addition, regularly live tweeting WWE, AEW, or Impact Wrestling pay-per-view shows. Upcoming for WWE is Crown Jewel, a show I will not be watching for sure, because that is part of WWE's Saudi Arabia shows. WWE signed an entire 10-year contract to do with the Saudi Arabian government to put on shows for them. And until that time, Saudi Arabia went and murdered a journalist out in public. They also did Saudi propaganda. Now they still go to Saudi Arabia to the tune of millions of dollars a year. But then they just kind of conveniently not talk about the fact that they're in Saudi Arabia. But they still were designed to be Saudi Arabian propaganda shows, so I won't be watching them.
Oof size large. Can I get an F in chat? That's going to be a yikes for me, dog.
Indeed. So, the next pay-per-view for Impact Wrestling is Bound for Glory, which is October 23rd. It is one of their biggest shows of the year. It's going to be a great time. And then, of course, AEW Full Gear, their next pay-per-view is November 13th. And both Impact and AEW are available through traditional pay-per-view means, as well as on Fight TV. In terms of, if you are one of those people like me who doesn't have cable, so got to buy pay-per-views online.
That's gonna be me too. I now do not have cable now that I exist in a new living space.
Who needs cable? Cord cutters for life.
Cord cutters for life. Instead, pay for millions of subscriptions. But yeah, be sure to check all of that out. Austin's live tweeting is awesome. It's a great time. He's great company to have while watching wrestling. I know personally, I highly recommend. So be sure to follow along with him if you're interested. We also have an email address. You can find us at our Gmail account, noobs and knockoutspod at gmail.com. That's noobs, the word and this time, knockoutspod at gmail.com. Email us, say hello, tell us what you think of the show, tell us what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of, any suggestions for arcs, for storylines, for singular episodes, anything that you want to see, hear, whatever on this show. We are more than happy to hear your suggestions and more than happy to hear them out, take them into consideration, and also just drop in, say hi, tell us how much you like our wonderful, beautiful, sexy voices that come to you every single week, because they are beautiful and sexy indeed. We just love it when people say hi. We love saying hi back. So be sure to come drop us a mail, an internet mail, if you will, at noobs and knockoutspod at gmail.com. And finally, you can find us on Patreon. We are also the Noobs and Knockouts Podcast on Patreon. $1 a month gets you early access to episodes and a shout out at the end of each episode.
See y'all next time.
Hasta luego.